Hello. Welcome to Current Exposure. Hold on. I got to get into the frame a little bit more. Let me back up some. All right. Let me know if you cannot hear me, but okay. I think I'm in the frame as much as I could be. Okay. Welcome. It's good to see everyone. How is everyone doing? How is everyone doing? Get into the comments. Let me know. What is going on? Energy in all of the wrong places in the city of Newark, in the world, across the country. It's just chaos and mayhem everywhere, nonstop. I think it needs to be like a human wide reflection of what's going on, what's happening, and just moving forward. Because it's getting a little crazy. So I have my poster here. I did go see the movie Sinners with Michael B. Jordan. I thought it was a pretty good movie. I give it a 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10. Let me back it up so you guys can see. I believe this was the 5th movie with Michael B. Jordan and Ryan Coogler. I believe they did a phenomenal job on the acting. The cinematography was great. In my opinion, the storyline wasn't original. I've seen thousands and thousands of vampire movies, but I love the fact that this particular vampire movie came from the perspective that we haven't seen before, which was Black people in the South. And we've never seen vampires done on in that type of setting. I've seen Vampire in Brooklyn, Blackula, but not what Ryan Coogler brought to the table. And the acting was amazing. I would give the acting a 10 out of 10. Michael B. Jordan is a master of his craft and playing two different characters, twins. I think he nailed it. He really gave them different personalities. You can tell they were twins, but at the same time, you can also tell that they were individuals as well. In the way that he played the role. So I'm going to have Zaire will join us a little bit later and give his point of view on what he thought about the movie. But overall, 7 out of 10. Because of the fact that it's just another vampire movie. Now, if it was something totally unseen before, then okay. I would have upped the score, and because of the hype. There was so much hype that when I went to see the movie, it didn't match my expectations. But I still loved the movie. Nonetheless, I loved the movie. I just, and you know what? I'm not mad at the hype, but I'm just being honest here. It was the hype that really made me want to go out and see it. And without the hype, I think I would have waited to see it on Netflix or Prime Video or some other type of app. But the hype, everybody telling me you have to go see this movie and not necessarily telling me the details of the movie. I'm like, well, what is the movie about? But when I got there, I'm like, oh, okay, it's a vampire movie, good versus evil type of situation. Um, but yeah, like I said, the acting 10 out of 10. Cinematography 10 out of 10. This director did an amazing job. The setting was awesome. The scenes were awesome. The special effects, like it wasn't over the top. It was like um it was like the realism with the special effects went well with the time period. It was just perfect. It was perfect. It was a great film. I'll give it, but still 7 out of 10. Um, Dwayne, hey, Cuzzo, nothing up, nothing much is up. Just talking about the Sinners movie. Get into the comments. Tell me how you felt about it. If you thought it was good, if you thought it was bad, tell us why. If you want to come on and join a live stream, let me know to talk about it. But you know what? Also, with the movie, a lot of people were making connections to reality and how life is for Black Americans and taking the movie and applying it. And I'm like, oh, okay. And some things I did see the connections, and then other places I completely it went over my head. And I'm like, people are reaching. They're reaching a bit too far. Also, I would like to say that I wish I saw more magic and hocus pocus from Annie, who was, I guess she was like the griot or the sage, or the voodoo lady or whatever. I wish I would have seen. I wanted to see some more magic, and that's another reason why I gave it a 7 out of 10. We could have seen a little bit more magic, not anything that's unrealistic like Harry Potter with wands and magic dust sprinkled all over the screen or whatever. Yeah, we didn't need it to be over the top, but I wish we would have saw more than just eating a piece of garlic. So I think the magic on for Annie should have been a little bit more dramatic. That's just my personal opinion, but the movie was pretty good. And I'm glad that it sold out. I'm glad that everyone went to see it. I'm glad that it's back and it will be playing in IMAX. So let me just, plug it one more time if people want to go see it in IMAX. This is a good picture, by the way. I like this poster. Okay. Um, so aside from that, so back to reality, the real world, and what people are facing today. I'm just so confused about this gentrification that's going on. Actually, no, I'm not confused. I just have a different opinion and a different thought process. And I'm starting to think or wonder what what if there's good that comes out of this? Why aren't Black people in communities that are being gentrified taking control of their communities, working together in unison to build their communities and make them what they want them to be? Why are we always playing the victim role? And I just need to understand this. We have people that are making uh not I'm not going to say poverty a flex, but making being lazy a flex. People are making not pushing themselves and being the best that they can be a flex. And it's really bothersome to me. And it's starting to make me wonder if we're in the predicament, not just because of institutional racism, social racism, but because of something where we've accepted to be less than for ourselves and for our children and for our futures. And I'm just like thinking outside of the box. I'm not going with the flow right now with everyone talking about, oh, it's white people's fault that we don't have X, Y, and Z. Yeah, to an extent, but what are we doing individually? What are we doing collectively to advance ourselves? And why is there so much conflict and differences within the community that keeps talking about unity, 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 unity when they're not practicing it? They're not practicing. We have leaders who shouldn't be in positions of leadership or titles. Titles, let me put it like this, because they're not even in a position. Well, they're in titles of leadership, but they're not gathering everybody together to move forward. Everybody hates each other. Nobody likes each other. People keep disrespecting each other, stepping into each other's lanes in Newark. So it's starting to make me think like, okay, if this place is gentrified, anybody get into the comments and tell me something different. But I'm thinking, okay, if this place is gentrified, will it reduce crime? Is it for the betterment of the community? Will it stop the nonsense that's going on? Will it stop people from feeling comfortable with not being the best that they could be? Will it stop people from crashing out if you don't enable their bad behaviors? And we have a significant population within Newark that really believes that the red carpet should be rolled out and their bad behaviors be enabled, like lack of personal responsibility, lack of respect for their community. You got people that just throw trash down on the ground, but then they'll talk about we need clean water. Excuse me. They'll talk about white people has made it so we don't have clean water, but you're also dirtying your own community. So I don't know. I really don't know what people think they're doing with that. You'll have people who refuse to make a contribution to their community and give back, but will constantly have their hand out or their hand in the pot, taking, 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 taking. So I'm a little bit I need to know what's going on with this gentrification and why are people so against it? And even let's look at Bernie Sanders. Everybody loved Bernie Sanders. But you have this guy who was taking private jets, spending millions of dollars. And then he's unapologetic about it and says that I'm not going to wait on a United line to catch a flight to go fight the oligarchs. How, like, are you a socialist against capitalism? Like what are you doing here? What is going on with that? It's something wrong with that picture. You know, you can't hold poor people to a higher standard and just take no accountability for your actions and wave it off as, oh, well, I'm too good to go stand in a line. They call these people champagne socialists. And I'm not going to front. I like drinking champagne. And I've been clear. Like, if anybody want me to do anything right now at this point going forward, you have to pay me. You have to pay for my time. I've given my time for free, and I've compromised so much when it came to my family to fight for clean water and to help get clean water. And people charge you to be in these positions of leadership. Your council people get paid, your council aides get paid, and they're not delivering results. So why should I work for free? I wouldn't be the type of person that wouldn't deliver results, but I get it. I like to drink champagne too. And I'm honest and open about it. I'm not going to tell you not to drink champagne because you don't need that. But then you see me at the Met Gala drinking champagne like Al Sharpton was and taking pictures and raising $31 million while also talking about, oh, yeah, I'm fighting the oligarchs. What is going on? What is going on? I'm real with the people. Yes, I will pop a bottle of Ace of Spade, Moet and Chandon, which those are my favorites. And I will work hard to do so. But then at the end of the day, I'm not going to tell you, you shouldn't be able to do that, or you shouldn't do that because I'm doing it. Just like Bernie with the jet. You guys can't even get flights. Can't even fly out of Newark right now. Flights delayed, hours on top of hours. But he's trying. How do you justify that? How do you, Bernie people, get up here and explain this to me? I want to play you guys a clip. If you can't hear it, let me know, because when I queued it up, I couldn't hear it, but you may be able to hear it on your end. And I don't think there's anything wrong with enjoying a good time, having nice things. I'm not against that at all. I'm not against that at all. At all. As long as you work for it, you earn it. I think if that's what you want, because we all have different wants and desires, then go for it. Apparently, Bernie Sanders likes to fly on private jets and not wait in lines, but he'll tell you to wait in line like the young ladies that he told a couple of weeks ago on stage. I see why they crashed out. But anyway, let me play this clip. If you can't hear it, let me know. Let's see. Let's share the screen. No apologies. Let's see. No apologies. Hold on. Where are we? Let's hold up. Let's put me down there. All right. Let's see if you guys can hear
When you run a campaign and you do 3 or 4 or 5 rallies in a week, the only way you can get around to talk to 30,000 people. Think I'm going to be sitting on a waiting line at United waiting, 30,000 people are waiting. That's the only way you can get around. No apologies for that. That's what campaign travel is about. We've done it in the past. We're going to do it in the future.
And you think that this is hitting a mark? You think it's scratching the itch that voters want to hear from?
I think at a time when the people on top are doing phenomenally well, when seniors, working class people are struggling, people want to hear action to stand up to the people who have the wealth and the power and create an economy that works for all of us, not just the people on top.
All right. So my whole thing is, how do you justify? You got caught red-handed. So with that being, if you did that, what else have you been doing? What else have you been keeping a public eye? It's like certain people have to be held to a standard while other people don't, and then they'll dictate to you that you should be better than what they are or what you are to get ahead in life. Like, I don't understand that. I don't understand that at all. You know what? It's not that I don't understand. I do understand. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. If I want to be a millionaire, I should be able to be a millionaire if that's what I want to do. You're out here talking about, Bernie is talking about fight the oligarchs, tax the rich, but you're making it seem like you don't need all this money to live in America. You don't, but at the end of the day, he has all that money. He's a millionaire. He has all the experience, the life experiences of people with money. And we're up here just eating it up, like being content, being in poverty. I feel like that's disrespectful. It's mad disrespectful and a slap in the face. Hold on, Zaire, are you on?
Hey, what's going on? Could you hear me?
Yes, I can. Give us your perspective about this Bernie Sanders, which blew my mind. Like,
The,
how do you hold people to a standard and you're not even following that standard yourself?
it's he's given the option to pick between the greater and lesser evils. You know what I'm saying? A person who subsequently is a socialist who doesn't believe in capitalism is now participating in capitalism.
Right.
I understand. It's counterintuitive. The message is not just in the word, the message is in the action.
The action, yes. And that's what we need to always focus on. Because people can lie. And let's I brought up sinners. So let's talk about even with sinners.
Okay.
We're gonna reach like other people were reaching when with the vampires coming and wanting to get into the juke joint and promising something better than the lives that the black people were living amongst the KKK.
Exactly.
In Mississippi. So, like you said, the lesser of two evils, either you become a blood-sucking vampire and a creature of the night, and your soul is trapped until somebody puts a stake through the heart or whatever for eternity, basically. Or you can live as a sharecropper, deal with Jim Crow lynchings, because there was a mention of a lynching in the movie. Face segregation. There was a couple that couldn't be together because it was a mixed couple. Like, how do you think? So how do you make that connection to reality? You think that's what we're in right now? Like with Bernie Sanders. Now, to me, he's an evil for what he did with this engaging in capitalism.
Yeah, and not only just engaging, but engaging in the things that he accused others of taking advantage of other people. And for him to state, and from a socialist standpoint.
Zaire, your phone went out. Zaire. Okay, his phone went out. But Yeah, like he's saying, from a socialist standpoint, we shouldn't be engaging in this. We shouldn't be engaging in that. If we want equality.
Hello.
Hold on. Yes.
All
Let me.
right. Yeah.
No,
All right.
okay. All right.
Perfect.
You were talking. You were saying
So
like
for a
from a
person
social.
for a person who speaks of a socialist standpoint to then um speak of and participate in an antisocial behavior to state that why would I stand pretty much what he say is why would I stand amongst the commoners?
Right.
Why would I wait amongst the commoners?
Right.
That is very anti-socialist. Because
Right.
socialism means the you just comment among public order. Everybody has. So for him to participate in a very capitalism, it seems as if he really doesn't really understand what a real socialist is. I think that his form of socialism is coming from a point of generosity than it is a socialist standpoint that I give to those who are less than me, or I have to fight for those who are less than me, because it's a generous thing to do. And not only when it's generous, but it also fills up my pocket in certain ways. You get what I'm saying? You have a person
Right.
that of his age that is allowed to be in Congress, allowed to legislate, allowed to participate in laws and rulemaking. To me, it's just like, are you current with the times? And
Right.
so
Right.
that's something that I, have to, myself, I have to just, get into is like, is it genuine?
Yeah.
Because are you campaigning or rallying up these to speak to people? I'm not going to stand in line. Well, you choose not to wait your turn.
Right. Right. And where is the equity in that? Where if it's democratic to everybody gets in line and wait their turn, what makes you not have to do that? And why should we accept that?
Mm-hmm.
Why should we be comfortable with that? Why? I feel like that's a red flag. Like, wait a minute, what do you mean? What do you mean? You're not going to wait in line, like you said, amongst the commoners, amongst the people where socialism is supposed to be a political movement that encompasses social ownership, equity, right, as opposed to private ownership. So now he's engaged in a private section. He's engaged in something so removed from the public.
Exactly. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And away from the people. And I thought I had it all wrong about him because I didn't support him in the past, and people were saying such great things and making such great points. And these people who were doing that were really, really good people. And I believe they truly follow socialism. But it's like, look at your leader. Your leader just basically is using you guys to promote his agenda. Like you know how you have the grassroots movement. They're the grassroots. They're on the ground while he's controlling them. You see what I'm saying? So it's like they're not working for themselves and for the people. They're working for Bernie, believing that we're working for the people. And he had everybody fooled. So that's how I feel. And I feel like now, why do we have to get rid of capitalism at this point? Now we're all back to square one, like where we thought, okay, we got something here, something maybe different with this socialism thing, but now how we see Bernie operating,
Talk about
like he's not going to be any different. I wouldn't say he'll be like a Trump, but once again, this is a different type of evil. a different type of evil. And this is my question to you. Do you think that Black people in the United States of America have this thing where we're also well, not also where we're constantly confronted with
Mhm.
different versions of evils?
Yep. Yep.
Hmm.
Wow. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, because it's like if we rely on ourselves,
We
okay,
have to understand necessary evil still doesn't mean that it's not good. It's still evil.
right,
It's deemed necessary or
right.
called necessary. It's still a form of evil. So,
Mm, mm. Right. So we're constantly faced with these challenges by evil. Wow. Wow, Bernie. None of Bernie followers, get into the comments. I don't have any of the Bernie people into the comments, but I just think I just think energy is going into the wrong places. Why can't we just get our energy flowing in appropriate places? Like, what do you think is holding us back? What's stopping Black people from being as unified as we were in the civil rights movement, as unified as we were in the abolition movement? Like, what are we like? I feel like we're just all over the place, scattered. Um, maybe people don't know the history. I don't know, but I thought that's what school was for.
mhm.
I thought that's what was going on in people's homes. I remember like growing up, and we had like these posters of Black people who invented things, did phenomenal things, and then when we went to school, we learned about white people who did phenomenal things, and it was kind of like all inclusive type of situation. But we're not getting that anymore. That's not happening in the homes. It's not happening like in the communities. There's no unity. I don't feel any unity. I feel like we work in silos. We have cliques going. Um and it's given. I don't know. I don't know. You let me know what you're thinking about that, because how do you like brag about Black excellence and that's not in the actions of Black people overall?
So, excuse me. Black excellence is meaning to me, and here's my definition of Black excellence. Black excellence is how do you handle yourself on a day to day? Not what you
Okay.
accomplish, but what are you constantly doing in order to accomplish something or to maintain something, if that
Mhm.
either or to progress to even better. That
Okay.
is what Black excellence is. And for an example, you're a homeowner. That's
Right.
Black excellence. You went to college. You have
Okay.
2 post-college degrees. That is
Right.
Black excellence. But not only with that, though, you maintain your home. That is Black excellence. You maintain your job and the level of income you maintain. Why? Because you show up to work every day. That is
Right.
what you do. So Black excellence is not how much you can make in a moment and how much you can do in a moment. It is about what you can maintain throughout a system of time and progress better throughout that time. And during that duration, are you progressing as an individual, personal development, right?
Mhm. Right.
And not only with just personal development, but just overall, are you a better person than you was before? That is what Black excellence is. Black
Okay.
excellence doesn't mean I have to be recognized in order to do, right? Or I
Okay.
want something to be recognized. Black excellence meaning that it is your job to maintain something. It is. Are we talking about Black excellence as this person has the first Black store, right? Because guess what? A store can close down due to marketplace market values. Who is your intended target when it
Right.
comes to, how do you who is your target? What is it called? The consumers, right?
Your
How
target audience, right?
audiences and consumers, and so we can sit and say Black excellence, X, Y, and Z. Right? Black excellence to me is maintaining something that you already have and doing it with minimum effort.
Mm.
Doing it minimally. Like, oh, I pay my bills because I set up, I'm setting myself up financially in a way to succeed. You get what
Right.
I'm saying? So
So
let's just
what's going on in a community where people aren't doing that, where they're actually making
I
it a flex
want
to
but
not, pursue Black excellence?
yes, but here's the thing now. People don't want to marry the everyday, they want to marry the moment.
Okay.
That is how marriages are.
Right, but they're not even having good moments.
That's what I'm
They're
saying.
they're
So you
flopping.
say
They're,
it,
they're
you can't speak in a word of Black excellence if we're constantly promoting Zeus Network. If we're
right,
constantly promoting Natalie Nine. If we're
right.
constantly promoting even they call it the Puerto Rican princess. I love her to death. Jocelyn Hernandez.
Okay.
Even if we're promoting the those people. So we can't say what Black excellence is if our excellence came from a place of irresponsibility.
But it's not excellence to
That's what I'm
me.
saying though. We can't
Yeah,
promote it. We can't promote, hey, yeah, even though she did this, she got a restaurant. But no, it was off the back of this. We can't promote it. If you had to kill 1,000 people in order to make one Black person look good, and then everybody's gonna flock and say, oh, this person did very well. It's like, well, he killed 1,000 Black people
right. To do very well.
to do
Step
very well.
on people's backs,
Yep.
to advance. And that's where I'm just like, so I'm like, what is going on? Why are people comfortable operating in such a way? Because it's not I agree with you, it's not excellence.
Mm-hmm.
It's not excellence at all. They're not improving the quality of their lives like long term. It's not sustainable. So when they pass away or blow through their money or the restaurant gets shut down, that's it. That's it. It's back to welfare for them. It's back to living in
Uh-huh.
poverty for them. It's back to living in environments that they could have improved.
Oh, exactly.
Like Newark, and let's transition to talk about gentrification, because I brought that up earlier. Why aren't these people making the communities that they live in better? All you have to do is not throw the trash down on the ground where you live. All you have to do is not do donuts in an intersection and crash the cars up to stolen vehicles where you live.
Yep.
All
Talk
you have
about
to
it.
do is not shoot and kill the people, your neighbors, where you live.
Uh-huh.
But it's always, oh, if I get out of here, it's always a mindset or a mentality of I gotta get out. Why do you have to get out when you can just make it better?
Uh-huh.
And when you get out, once again, you're going from one evil to the next evil, because
Yep.
now you live in Bergen County or Gloucester or Monmouth, and you keep getting pulled over by the police. So now
Yep.
you're not even comfortable. It's quiet, it's nice, but it's not nice and comfortable and quiet for you. And these are actual situations where I've seen people encounter. So yeah, you've gotten out of what to go where? It's like you jumped into from out of one frying pan into the next. still cooking. So, and I'm thinking like, okay, with this gentrification thing, why haven't Black people who went on to make money, like Jocelyn Hernandez and with the other people that you name, why haven't they formed some type of some type of coalition like the Black Wall Street that they talk about and reminisce about in
But they
communities
can't manage it.
of
That's
color.
why. Let's talk
Say
about
that
it.
again.
They can't maintain it. You can't. They can't maintain it. They can't maintain it.
Why? Why? Because of the morality
buy
issues, the values
They want to buy
issues.
No. They want to buy Louis, Fendi, Prada. They want to live in these large homes and, to buy every Rolls Royce and spend money at the club and go get wings at, the little spot, the little strip club. That's what it is. That's what it is.
Because I just think about it, like I've been thinking about it a lot lately. Like there is no one who called me up and these so-called people, and I say they're in titles of leadership, but they don't do leadership work. They're just in the title. They've never called me up and invited me out to anything with amongst other people to say, hey, let's pool all our money together and let's create something sustainable. Let's create something that will keep the community going and going and going. Let's create something that will prepare the youth to also keep the community going and going and going. All I see is people playing the victim. Woe is me, and settling for less. Settling for less. Like they play the victim to settle for less just to get something that will never improve the quality of their life. Like for an example, let me give you an example. There's this housing issue, and I have my own personal research on that, but just speaking hypothetically, a person is facing some type of housing issue, and they'll fight and argue to be placed in temporary housing. They don't even fight to be placed into a home with a mortgage that builds value over time. They'll fight to get placed into a temporary housing situation, and then they'll really sign off on that type of deal with a disclaimer that says, after this, you can't come back to us for any type of help. And I agree, like what you said, that's for the moment. So you get free housing for 30 days, and then now you're back out in the street or whatever, or trying to figure out where you're going to live. Why would you settle for something like that?
Exactly. Yeah, let's talk about
Why not say, give me a mortgage? And if you're gonna fight for something, that's like what we talked about earlier. The young lady settling for a bag. She giving up.
Yep.
She giving up her body for a bag. Like that's it. That's all you got. You didn't get your gold sponsor. You didn't get your life from this point to the end until you leave this earth sponsor.
All right.
Like, are you crazy? Like what? Wow. And then you'll have people though. I gotta put this out there too, because then you'll have people with no value, no worth that will will be fighting for the mortgage, and it's like, yo, you not even worth this. I need the people who are worth that to have that type of confidence. I need y'all to swap confidences because, yeah, like it's crazy to me. I'd be like, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Like you sold your soul. You gave your soul. You really gave your soul for nothing that is sustainable. And you know what, like when you talk about Black excellence, I do feel like I have participated in that or practiced Black excellence because I realize too, if I work hard, if I push myself, I
you're
can
currently
do those things for myself, and I don't have to sell my body or my soul. And I just wish other young women in this city thought like that. Other young men too thought like that and felt more about themselves and understood their worth more than how they act. You crashing out. First of all, you don't need to crash out, but you crashing out over something so minor. You crashing. It's basically like you crashing out over a candy bar when you can have the world.
Yeah.
That's crazy to me. That's crazy. And you know why they're listening to the sophisticated confusion perpetrated and purported by people like Bernie Sanders. Hello, Will. Good evening. Hello, Deborah. Good evening. Just saying good evening to some people.
Okay, all right.
But yeah, so I like this is right now. I think they need to really study the Black dilemma because I think we're in a dilemma right now. We're in a real dilemma. And you know what? There was a pause on the mass incarceration. I think it's about to pick back up because what we're seeing right now is that the people are doing the crimes.
Uh-huh.
Their families are doing the crimes. The children are coming from families where the crime is being basically passed down generational, which is sad. Very, very sad and disheartening. And they're crashing out with me and other people that can help them because they just want what they want in that moment. Like you said, in that moment, they want the candy bar. They want the candy bar instead of getting the knowledge, the training, and the skills to be able to make the candy bar or to get the candy bar by earning whatever contributions they're making and receiving pay for it and earning it on their own. They just give me the candy bar. And then after the candy bar is gone, we can no longer help them. I can no longer help you because you sold yourself for a candy bar. What do you expect me to do?
Uh-huh.
When I tried to assist, you didn't want to hear it. You didn't want to do what you needed to do, and then time keeps going too. Time keeps going. Time doesn't stop for anybody. Time is not stopping for me. Like I remember, it's 2025. I graduated from high school 25 years ago. That's somebody's whole lifetime right there. Well, not their whole lifetime, but that's a young person right there from 2000 up until now. And I know people that I went to school with, and they still in that same spot. And I'm like, wow, what happened to your Black excellence?
Uh-huh.
You know? Oh, Will said, what's up with Bernie Sanders? Oh, you didn't hear about it? And Ronald Johnson likes the candy bar analogy. Yeah, Ronald, that's that. They're really selling their souls for a candy bar. It's not sustainable. Yeah, it tastes good for that moment.
Because it's something for right now.
Yeah.
Not, this could last me a lifetime. Oh, let me get this.
Right.
Uh-huh.
They're not thinking about, I need a plan. How am I going to get more candy bars? And then there's a limit. There's a limit on free candy bars. You know, I made this post and somebody mentioned something that made me think about this economics teacher that I had back in 2007 when I studied business in Philadelphia. It was a Black woman, economics teacher, and she said, there's no such thing as free. There's no such thing as a free lunch. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, if I go out on a date with somebody, I'm getting free lunch. She's like, no, Shakima, you're not. You're not. You're giving up something in exchange. You don't see that you are, because you're thinking that monetary exchange for monetary exchange is the same thing. And I'm like, okay. She's like, you're giving up your time that you can't get back to go out with this person. Now, also, if you don't like this person or their company, you're compromising your preferences. You're giving that up. And after she went on and on, and after she was done with me, I was like, damn. Like, oh my gosh. And it made me realize too, with picking the lesser of the evils, what am I willing to give up for free? What am I willing to give up? And then some people, like she said, they give up their body for lunch. And I'm like, nah, I'm not willing to give that up. And those people are people I haven't had lunch with, though, too. Because
lunch, breakfast, or dinner.
Right. That right there, that's $1 million lunch right there.
Yeah.
You know, they can't afford that. But yeah, so even, you know what? Let me take it a little further. The sacrifices made by Black people for their future, like us, standing in line for the free cheese. They had to give up their dignity. They had to give up their independence, because now you're relying on a third party, which was the government, to be able to provide for your family. And they really didn't let us know that. So, and this is why I didn't know growing up we were in poverty. Because something that the dignity and pride was given up to shield us from knowing that. And had we known that, I think that would have had a negative impact on self-esteem.
Right.
If you know you're growing up and you're at the bottom of the totem pole, I think it's difficult for you to build up that fortitude to believe that you're more than just that, and that you can achieve greatness. So they shielded us. And that's how a lot of us grew up, though. Pursuing excellence, like you pursued your careers, and law enforcement has been something that you wanted to do since you were a child, and you did it.
I did it.
But what if you would have known you're Black, you know, yeah, the bottom of the totem pole, you're number 6 to gain any type of advantage on a DEI totem pole.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like what if you were a child and that was ingrained in your head? There would be no sense in you. You wouldn't even try because you would already be accepting that you're this in this society. You're less than in the society.
Yep.
So, let me see who else. Will said people who have agendas are fake. I agree. Just be yourself. Just be yourself. That's why, like I said, like with the champagne socialists, I drink champagne. I like drinking champagne. I'm not going to stop drinking champagne.
Yep.
I will go buy, I will work and buy until I save up enough money to buy a nice bottle of champagne. I'm not going to tell people who make less money than me not to buy champagne. That's on them if their priorities are skewed. But that's that's the people with the agendas. That's what they do. Oh no, don't let them know I'm drinking champagne. Let's hide it. We're gonna hide like Al Sharpton at the Met Gala. How are you at the Met Gala? That's the false black leadership. If you're advocating for the poor, you can't relate. You cannot relate at that point. And I know myself, I can't relate to certain people either. And I don't work with those populations because I know I'm not a good fit. And in some instances, I don't have the passion. So be yourself, be real, but it doesn't stop me from working with someone and collaborating with someone who does have that passion, who has explained to me this is why we need to help these people. And if I really firmly believe in them and what they're doing, I will support them. But I'm not going to change up for this is fit into some type of box.
All right, technical difficulties, my bad. I said technical difficulties, my bad.
I got you. Oh, Will said what happened to Bernie Sanders? Well, Bernie takes private jets to fight the oligarch. He believes that he's too good. He
said exactly.
Go ahead, tell him, Zaire.
Yeah, he said exactly. Why would I stand in line at United? Like he too good to stand in line to catch a flight.
And who's paying? He got private jets.
Yep, I think on tax dollars.
Burning off his rich friends. They said his rich friends burning fuel that's so-called polluting the earth. Yeah. So that's what it costs, millions of dollars. I forgot how many millions they said that these private jets cost that's being paid for. He want, and this is the problem. I'm not taking any shots. I'm just using the facts. This is the problem when you have white people taking a position of being so self-righteous that they can tell other people what to do and how to live their lives.
Exactly.
And it's because they know best. And it's like, no, you don't. We see right through that. And we're in a time where I can speak openly about it and I can challenge white people who do that. What makes you think your idea is best for poor people? What makes you think your ideas are best for Black people? Why? Why do you think, and then they're completely wrong, like what Bernie Sanders said? Why do you feel like, why not be in a more collaborative position and understanding.
Mm.
You know, understand. And if you can't relate, you can't relate. That's another thing. Some people just really can't relate. So stop forcing it. Just understand and know that you can't relate. Like I had a judge who has 0 life experience, but she made her a judge. Somebody in that circle she's in of privilege made her a judge. So
How old?
How old was she?
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe in her early 50s.
Well, that's no life experience at all.
But no, I'm saying life experience as a Black woman.
Yeah.
You don't know.
Mhm.
And then to say that my life is a scheme, that spoke volumes to me. That no, you have 0 life experience compared to myself. And then on top of that, you don't even know any people like me. For you to not believe that my life happened as it did, that my life actually exists. And I was like, that's dangerous. But then it also reminded me of how mass incarceration just went
Mhm.
on and on unchecked, because you had people that felt like you're a bad person, or I don't believe you. I don't believe that's how you were living, even with the proof, or without actually doing the research or the investigation to find out. But then again, too, that's how racism works, and that's how racism is able to still exist, because people have these preconceived notions and biases that they just run with instead of getting to know you. Come to a family event. Come and look into the window of my life. Be a spectator on a side of my life, and you will see what I've shown and demonstrated in court is exactly how I live. Whether you agree with it or want to live that way, that has nothing to do with how I was living and what my life actually is.
Exactly.
So, and you have these people, yeah, like a Bernie Sanders, that's so removed and can't relate. Can't relate. Cannot relate. Like I cannot relate. I asked a question about living in a shelter on my page. I asked what are the benefits and the disadvantages, because I want to understand, because I can't relate. I've never lived in a shelter. I'm not trying to live in a shelter. And I don't believe in I never know what will happen in my life because I could end up in a shelter. I can't relate to that either. Even people put that out, that's just projecting. But
Excuse me.
bless you. But yeah, so I asked the question and people responded, and I'm like, oh, okay, because I need to understand what's going on here.
It's all about it.
And unfortunately for that judge, that she wasn't trying to understand. She just kept trying to rebut the facts of my life. Well, why would you live like that? Why would you do this? Why would you? That's how I was living because that's what worked for my life.
Yeah, and the lack of experience of a certain culture
Right.
or diversity, you can't try to be logical with it.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
that.
Right. And there was, you know what? There was, I would say the logic wasn't in alignment of the logic she's accustomed to.
Talk about it.
And that's why I said she has no life experience, because if you can't identify that there's a difference in the logic. Some you have no life experience. I would be able to identify with that, like with the people in the shelter. All right, there's something different with their logic that this is where they want to be and they feel comfortable. I don't understand it. Okay, it works for them and how they're moving and how they're living. And it's made available too. Let's not forget that. You got people who, who sign up to be in those situations. You got people who sign up to play a victim. I'm not doing that. So when people take on those roles, yeah, I ask questions. I want to understand. Okay, why would you want to play the victim?
Yep, talk about it.
They tell, I played the victim because so many people came and they gave me hugs, and I never got a hug from my mother and father, and I liked the hugs, and they gave me free stuff, da 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 da, and I'm like, oh, okay. Well, they did it because they felt people loved them more. Right. Now, will I do something like that? No. Will that work for me? No, but I understand now why they do it. Like, oh, okay. They do that. They want the hugs. All right, cool. Well, not cool, but understood. So Will says it's sad that we pay for all elected officials' trips and travel. That needs to stop. Yeah, it does. It does, because when I travel, I pay my own way. I pay my own way. And if that's what I want to do, that's on me. That shouldn't be a public charge. It shouldn't be a public charge. Will says some of these shelters are in shambles. Some elected officials don't care. Right. That's the other thing. Like the big one, 224 Sussex Avenue. The stories that I hear, I'm like, oh my gosh. And the amount of times it was shut down, I'm like, how is it even allowed to operate? But that's something else. Something's going on there. Somebody's getting some money, some kickbacks, whatever. But also the people continue to go and fill up the beds. You got the people that's making it a need. Regardless of what's happening over there, you got people showing up. People making it reasonable for it to exist. Like, well, it can't be that bad. They keep showing up. They're not outside protesting. They're not outside making no noise about the deplorable conditions.
Yep, talk about it.
That's just like with the landlords and the tenants. Like, I believe there are slumlords. I do, but at the same time, it's not bad enough because people haven't gotten together and formed coalitions to fight these slumlords. So it keeps going on, and I'm like, all right, well, people are comfortable with it. But that's, again, circle back. That's not excellence. That's not excellence. I really went like on a rant too. Sorry. I apologize for that. I was just, feeling it, and I hope it flowed, but yeah, do you have anything to say? I just think
you pretty much held it on a cross.
Place.
You did your thing with that one. Did your thing with that one. But they mad disrespectful. He mad disrespectful.
I don't understand. Oh, you know what? Talk about the mayor. I need you to talk about the mayor going to the ICE facility.
The mayor went to that was a joke. First of all, the mayor's not a federal official. Let alone he's only a mayor. He's only a city official. So he pretty much breached, I guess you say, the separation of government, right? The Homeland Security people do not answer to him, let alone Secretary of Homeland Security Naomi, I believe. She doesn't answer to him. She answers to the President of the United States of America, which is Donald J. Trump. So for him to state that he demands to go somewhere that is federally owned and or operated, and or even through consulting with other private organizations, and it's being owned or temporarily leased or operated by Homeland Security officials, it seems to me that he overstepped his boundaries for political grandstanding, or as we say, professional branding, right? To make him look good. It's all
Mm.
appearance rather than the actual solution. So as long as he can keep up with the appearance and rather than having a solution, he will find need in his appearance to continue. Right. That's what a lot of politicians do. It doesn't mean that they're gonna find a solution to something as long as I can keep up my appearances and to know that my
Mhm.
appearance means something as long as I can stay relevant onto the issue. Right.
Wow.
That doesn't mean that you are doing anything about it. It means that, hey, I see a familiar face and I know this face makes noise, i.e., he doesn't really make noise. He just complains like the rest of us at a louder level. Right. And, so let's
Well, volume turned up a bit, huh?
get the value termed up a bit. And the fact that this person holds the title that in thereof something, right? And so if there can be 1,000 black men out there, because the fact that he's a mayor and he has the title that in thereof, it's going to be projected in a way and more amplified than the typical layperson. So let's
Okay.
just really be too much into the fact that where he went to, once again, he went there because there's a gubernatorial primary happening and he's being snub nosed from it. And because the fact that he's being snub nosed, he's pandering to a vulnerable and impacted population and
Mm.
galvanizing further fears, right? He's feeding off the fears of this population rather than
Wow.
trying to find a solution, right? You get what I'm saying? That the fact that the
Right.
president of the United States can typically and usually lands his aircraft on Newark Airport on a monthly basis. The fact that this man has that much close proximity, not only with that though, he has proximity to go to Bedminster, New Jersey, to have a conversation or to demand a conversation. He demanded to go inside the facility rather than in Bedminster, New Jersey, to have a conversation with the President of the United States of America. So it's all talk and it's all game. It ain't real. He's a fraud. He's a demagogue, as they call certain politicians, and
Mm.
somebody that I truly don't believe that is actually
Mm.
leading. He's leading people away from, not to, a victory. So I just hope that people, when they look at the primaries and they look at a lot of this stuff, they go
Mhm.
they go beyond just the 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 words, right?
Right. The actions. The
He
actions.
has a vernacular that can galvanize his people to think, but he
Oh yeah.
has no action behind his vernacular, right? All he does is complain and sound like he does complain. That's how he got into office. He was taking over street corners on
Mhm.
unlawful actions and taking over intersections of important streets and byways and highways, all
Mm.
in the name of the First Amendment. And he
Mm.
could have easily been arrested. But, as they say, the noise and pestilence, in the Bible, as you can go to many other things, is that he's constantly out rambling his mouth. He's not really doing much, right?
Mm.
Shows up when the time of accomplishment. Like I said, he doesn't know how to maintain. He shows up for moments. He's not out
Wow.
like businesses go out of business in his city. He's not outraged when
Wow.
people are actually really dying. He's not even keeping up with the appearances that got him on office, which was, standing outside on certain street corners, talking to the people, right? He was a good person at first. But once again, like Bernie, he flips and turns himself. He flips and turns
Mm.
was as a person because not just the fact that he's been sold out, but he's been sold to the highest bidder. And because the fact
Wow.
sell to the highest bidder, he utilizes his platform once again to entertain. Because all you have to do is captivate an audience. And once you captivate them, you then shout out to Senate. Shout out to Senate. Once you captivate them, you usually get them galvanized. So he's just feeding off of fears. He's fear mongering. He's really not leading anything. That's all he was, doing then, and that's what he's doing now. So it is what it is. That's it, and that's all from me.
Okay. Wow. That was a very insightful breakdown.
Mm-hmm.
So let me ask you this. People said, why didn't he use the Newark police to go to the ICE detention
Separation.
center like he uses the Newark police against the residents?
What you call an insurrection, right? You use occupational force to take over a political thing. That is what you call terrorism. All right.
Now, what about go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. You said it's called terrorism if he would have done that?
Yes, and then if I was a president of the United States, I would have activated the military, and then guess what? The Posse Comitatus Act of 1789 would have been out of play. That Posse Comitatus Act of 1789 prohibits military occupational force to enforce local, state, jurisdictional, or any type of laws in the United States. However, it does have a right to be enacted when or if a insurrection happens in the United States, though, right? And so, and even in a Declaration of Independence, he couldn't even use that against him because of the fact that there's so many laws that are set up in place that you can't really overthrow the government, and that will seem like he's overthrowing the government.
Okay.
Let me be quite honest and frank. As a former, and I'm not speaking in any capacity of which, but as a former law enforcement officer in that state, right? I'm not going to speak who I worked for. Everybody knows who I work for.
Right.
I think it will not be a wise and smart decision to do that. Why? It ruins partnerships. Now you have a female attorney general. I forgot her name, but she's a wonderful character, wonderful woman, educated, smart, and the first to me, even from the Democratic standpoint, when I've watched and observed them of the attorney generals and of any prosecutor who got out of her office and went to the field with her U.S. Marshal's office.
Selena Habba.
And went with the FBI. And I think that I praise her for that. That is what you call leadership, though, who slapped on the vest and said, I'm going to walk these known criminals, not only to the car, but I'm going to walk them to jail too. That is what you call leadership. Right.
Okay.
So when you want to go and grandstand, I think it was smart for him to sit there. You didn't see any members of the Newark Police Division. You didn't see his security detail because due to the fact, once again, you step on federal property, that's a federal thing, right? And then when you try to intimidate with the use of a badge federal officials or try to say anything to a federal official in your official capacity, you render yourself possibly to the charge of official misconduct that holds a mandatory minimum 5 to 10 year prison sentence, right? Because you're speaking as a law enforcement officer with a gun on your hip, going onto a federal controlled ground, trying to intimidate federal agents from doing their job. Now, let's just say this. Now, is it fair for a federal agent to show up to the Essex County Jail, to any municipal holding facility, to state that they demand everybody from bench warrants or warrants that were generated from nonviolent crimes be released, right? And then you talk about traffic enforcement. How about we not pull people over for traffic enforcement, right? I think that would be the different thing, especially locking people up from traffic enforcement. So let's not sit and act like, people are stupid and they're making. Let's not sit and implement the Newark Police Division. To me, I think that was, if he was to do something like that, that would be stupid and irresponsible and counterintuitive amongst his agenda. He wants people to be cleaned up off the streets. He wants certain corners to be wiped out. There were times where we had to question some members of the administration of our distinguished agency to tell people that we can't tell people at 5 to keep it pushing. We can't tell people at 505 Elizabeth Avenue keep it pushing, right? We can't tell people on Broadway and Broadway and Summer Ave to keep it pushing. You get what I'm saying? We can't tell people on Carteret and Broadway to keep it pushing, right? We can't do that because there's constitutional constricts that prohibit us from doing that and thereof. So we respect the constitutional rights, though. So from him, once again, it's all about fear mongering and grandstanding. There's no business behind his action.
Okay. Wow. I hope everyone listened to that, and I may have to cut this clip and replay it because how you broke it down, that it would be illegal for him to use the police he would be charged. And people need to understand that it was exactly what you said, political branding.
Mm-hmm.
And no action behind the words. Now, what do you say to the people who and this is where I meant about energy in the wrong places. That energy could have been best used elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
With the slumlords in the city of Newark, where people are living in deplorable conditions, and slumlords owe thousands, and somebody even said millions in utility fees. The lights are getting shut off, the gas is getting shut off, the electricity is getting shut off because the slumlords aren't paying the bills, and water is being shut off because the slumlords aren't paying the bills in the city of Newark, and also the slumlords aren't repairing things in a property, such as a leaking roof or a running toilet or a leaking shower that's pouring down into the apartment below, to the point where people are saying that it's raining inside of their unit.
Mm-hmm.
So, why I think he should use his energy for that. Let's see what else. Yeah, but this was the other question. How was he able to take the fire department there? And the fire department put some documents on the gate of the facility, since they wouldn't
Once
let them in. So
once
how was
again,
he able to get
Homeland,
them roped in?
once again, Homeland Security.
Mm-hmm.
National, they're dealing with a sensitive national security, and when it comes
Mm-hmm.
to national security, it overrides everything. So let's not sit once again for political branding on your mayor's behalf. That's political branding, right? Because the fire department cannot supersede national security purposes and or initiatives and or
Okay.
things like that. The taking of migrants under, once again, national security, and it was put in an executive order under our defense. It was an old defense thing. You can't do nothing under the national security apparatus. So good luck with that. He can say as many things as he wants. He's utilizing a whack ass tactic, something that
Okay.
what's the name prosecuted? What did you call it? The mayor of New York. He actually pretty much fast tracked a Turkish building, right? And he told the
Right.
fire commissioner that to pretty much, bypass, or what is the word for it, of bypass to
I know what you're talking about. I can't
yeah,
really think of the word right now, but
but to bypass certain things. So pretty much the prosecutors on a federal level were pretty much prosecuting him because there was a building that was unsafe and not kept the code. That was it.
okay.
So that's
Okay.
pretty much why he really got prosecuted. He didn't get prosecuted because he took bribe. Got prosecuted because there was a building that was not kept the code. That's the reality of the thing. So what they're trying to do and utilize now is to use code enforcement.
Okay.
Ever once again, when it comes to the federal government and national security, it supersedes everything. So he can't challenge that in court if it was to go to court. So I wouldn't even worry about that.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I got you on that one. Wow, I like how you really broke it down. And made it make sense. I
Yeah.
hope our observers really listen and think critically about the political grandstanding, political branding that's going on with some of these candidates, and ask really deep questions about how are you going to improve the quality of our lives when you haven't been doing so all this time? Why should we continue to vote for you? Um so yeah. Well,
Mm-hmm.
let's wrap this up. We've been on here for a minute.
Oh,
Um I
Pre-
like the way the conversation was flowing, but I'm pretty much all talked out. Oh, we got to talk about what Will mentioned. Let me see. Will said the New Jersey Transit trains are about to strike next Friday. Please
About
beware. So we're going to talk about we're probably going to talk about that next week. But yeah, let's see what happens. Let's see what happens with that. I don't know. We haven't seen a real strike in years. Where let's see what happens. Let's see if they even do it. Let's see if they do it for more than a day or two. Let's see. It should be a strike on these slumlords. I haven't seen that yet, but once again, energy needs to be centered in certain places. But that's all I had to say. Did you have to say anything to take us out?
Nah, well, I appreciate everybody for coming up on the show today. Appreciate everybody. Thank y'all.
Yes.
Exposees or whatever. There it is.
Exposees.
All right. I appreciate y'all. Peace out.
Yes. Peace. I love y'all. And we're out of here.